Hi everyone, welcome to our video presentation. So today we'll be diving deep on whether giving to charity is a duty or a discretion. All this while we explore debates on moral issues. So let's get to it. Hi everyone, welcome to our video presentation. So today we'll be diving deep.
Giving to charity refers to the voluntary act of donating resources, whether money, time, or goods, intended to assist individuals, groups, or causes in need, while considering the moral implication of such actions. Ethical giving gives a careful consideration of several factors, such as the motivation behind the donation, the impact of charitable effort, and the broader social or systematic issues it may address or reinforce. Giving to charity refers to the voluntary act of donating resources, whether money, time, or goods, intended to assist individuals, groups, or causes in need, while considering the moral implication of such actions. Ethical giving gives a careful consideration of several factors, such as the motivation behind the donation, the impact of charitable effort, and the broader social or systematic issues it may address or reinforce. Giving to charity involves question of moral responsibility, both personal and collective, regarding who should they give, why should they give, and how should they give, with an eye on fairness, justice, and long-term impact. The ethical issue of giving to charity is multifaceted, touching of questions of morality, social responsibility, and the effectiveness of aid.
So now we will proceed in discussing the arguments for the two sides of the debate.
Moral responsibility underscores the ethical imperative to alleviate suffering when possible. From a libertarian perspective, individuals are obligated to minimize suffering and maximize happiness, particularly when it can be achieved with minimal personal cost. This principle aligns with Peter Singer's drowning child analogy, which illustrates that failing to act when the cost is low is morally indefensible. The Golden Rule, a moral value in numerous traditions, further strengthens this position by encouraging us to treat others as we would wish to be treated in their situation. For example, contributions to disaster relief efforts through organizations like the Red Cross during hurricanes or earthquakes demonstrates the immediate life-saving potential of moral responsibility in action. Charitable giving often serves as a direct response to urgent needs, providing critical assistance in life-threatening situations while also fostering long-term improvements in quality of life. From a beneficence perspective, non-consequentialist ethics stress the importance of helping others simply because it is the right thing to do. Utilitarianism further bolsters this by advocating actions that yield the greatest net happiness, making charity a morally sound practice. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, organizations like UNICEF provided essential vaccines and health supplies to underprivileged areas, mitigating the catastrophic impact of the virus. This initiative tackles systemic issues, demonstrating that charity not only resolves immediate crises but also lays the foundation for sustainable development and societal progress. Charitable giving strengthens the moral fabric of society by fostering solidarity, empathy, and a sense of shared responsibility. Virtue ethics emphasize the cultivation of virtues such as generosity and compassion, which not only benefit recipients but also enhance the moral character of the giver. Similarly, natural law theory prioritizes sociability and harmony, highlighting how charity bridges divides between individuals and communities. On a local level, donating to food banks or volunteering provides immediate aid to neighbors in need, fostering trust and cohesion within communities. On a global scale, initiatives like the UN SDGs illustrate how collective charitable efforts address issues like inequality, education disparities, and climate change. These actions not only reduce suffering but also create a more interconnected and empathic world where acts of Charity strengthens social bonds and promote mutual understanding. Charitable giving strengthens the moral fabric of society by fostering solidarity.
So here we have the arguments against charity. So first, we have inefficiency and mismanagement. Charities can sometimes suffer from inefficiency due to poor planning, lack of accountability, or donor-driven priorities that overlook real needs. This can lead to wasted resources, unequal aid distribution, or solutions that fail to consider cultural relevance, making them ineffective. Mismanagement can also mean that funds meant to help people are used for administrative costs, undermining the charity's purpose and reducing its impact on the ground. Relief, like food or shelter, which is vital in emergencies but doesn't address the deeper systemic causes of poverty or inequality. This short term approach can create dependency among recipients as they come to rely on aid without gaining the tools or opportunities to become self reliant. Without tackling root issues like education, healthcare, or economic inequality, these efforts risk becoming temporary fixes rather than paving the way for sustainable progress. Finally, we have the unintended negative consequences. While charities aim to help, they can unintentionally harm local economies by flooding communities with free goods or services, undercutting local businesses and jobs. Additionally, they may exploit recipient struggles for publicity, perpetuating stereotypes and stripping individuals of dignity. These unintended effects, while not always obvious, highlight the need for more thoughtful and respectful approaches to charitable work.
Now, let's talk about the moral principles that each side of the debate explicitly or implicitly uses and how it uses such principles to justify its position. So, the first one for giving to charity is moral responsibility. The perspective of utilitarianism under the consequentialist principle maximizes happiness and minimizes suffering. This is evident in the focus on alleviating immediate needs and improving quality of life, while altruism prioritizes the well being of others over self interest. This is demonstrated by the emphasis on helping those in need regardless of personal gain. Second one is non-consequentialist principle, wherein the perspective of categorical imperative. The golden rule and the idea of treating others as you would wish to be treated. This is reflected in the emphasis of empathy and compassion. And the third is virtue theory under the moderation perspective, by balancing personal needs with the needs of others. This is seen in the promotion of responsible giving and effective altruism. The second argument for giving to charity is humanitarian impact, which is the under the perspective of utilitarianism maximizes the overall good. This is evident in the focus on addressing immediate needs and long-term development goals. Second one is beneficence under the non-consequentialist principle. It is the duty to do good. This is reflected in the emphasis on helping others regardless of personal benefit. The second argument for giving to charity is humanitarian impact, which is the under the perspective of utilitarianism maximizes the overall good. This is evident in the focus on addressing immediate needs and long-term development goals. Second one is beneficence under the non-consequentialist principle. It is the duty to do good. This is reflected in the emphasis on helping others regardless of personal benefit. The second argument for giving to charity is humanitarian impact. The third one is fostering solidarity and empathy. In moderation, under the virtue theory, it balances individual and societal needs. This is seen in the promotion of community engagement and global citizenship. Meanwhile, in the categorical imperative perspective under the non consequentialist principle, it is the idea of treating others as you would wish to be treated. This is reflected in the emphasis on empathy and understanding. The third one is fostering solidarity and empathy. In moderation, under the virtue theory, it balances individual and societal needs. This is seen in the promotion of community engagement and global citizenship. Meanwhile, in the categorical imperative perspective, under the non consequentialist principle, it is the idea of treating others as you would wish to be treated. This is reflected in the emphasis on empathy and understanding. The third one is fostering solidarity and empathy. In moderation, under the virtue theory, it balances individual and societal needs. This is seen in the promotion of community engagement and global citizenship. Meanwhile, now let's talk about the arguments against giving to charity, which is the first one is inefficiency and mismanagement. Under the consequentialist principle is the perspective of utilitarianism. It critiques the potential for wasted resources and unintended consequences. This argument highlights the importance of effective and ethical charity practices. The second one that Edwell mentioned in the argument is short term impact over long term solutions. Still, in the perspective of utilitarianism, by questioning the long term efficacy of charity, this argument suggests that charity may not always lead to the greatest good in the long run. Now, lastly, is the unintended negative consequences, still in the perspective of utilitarianism. By considering the potential downsides of charity, such as dependency and exploitation, this argument emphasizes the need for careful consideration of the impact of charitable actions.
Moving on, we will now proceed on the group's take on the debate and answer the following questions.
So, the group agrees with the foresight of the debate. We firmly support the view that giving to charity is a morally significant act. Charitable contributions alleviate human suffering, promote equity, and foster social cohesion by addressing the needs of the most vulnerable populations. Charity will actually serve as a critical bridge between surplus and scarcity. We can actually offer short term relief in crises such as natural disasters, pandemics, and conflicts. Furthermore, when strategically implemented, charity can actually contribute to long term societal development by funding education, healthcare, and actually also in sustainable infrastructure in underserved areas. The moral obligation to help others will enhance our sense of collective responsibility for each other and actually connect us as a society. So, while the merits of charity are significant, there are areas that demand improvement to maximize its impact. So, first of all, we should encourage sustainable solutions. Charity should not solely focus on immediate relief, but it should also prioritize initiatives that empower communities to become self-sufficient. To quote a to informally quote a proverb, give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you will feed him for a lifetime. So, rather than continuously donating food to impoverished areas, we could also invest in agricultural education and infrastructure so that we can enable their long-term food security. Charitable organizations must also integrate capacity building efforts, such as TechVoc training, microfinance opportunities for small businesses, and education. All these efforts are to address systemic issues like poverty and unemployment. Our second point is to enhance transparency and accountability. So, the effectiveness of charitable contribution will really depend on how well resources are managed. Donors need clear information about how their money is spent, which charities deliver measurable support, and which have the lowest overhead costs. So, nonprofits must adopt transparent reporting practices and then use evaluations to demonstrate the tangible outcomes of their programs. So, a good example of this is actually GiveWell and Charity Navigator. They provide excellent examples of how accountability and also transparent reporting can improve donor trust and actually encourage smarter giving. So, at least donors will have an idea of where their money is going and they have more confidence in giving significant amounts. Third one, promote cultural sensitivity. This is often overlooked just because of the power dynamics between well developed countries and underdeveloped countries. So, charitable efforts must actually respect local traditions, customs, and values to ensure solutions are culturally appropriate and sustainable. Because what we see right now is that development projects impose Western ideals on non Western societies. They do not consider local needs. And what do they have in common? They fall or face resistance from those non Western societies. So, collaborating with the community leaders and to actually tailor solutions to align with local priorities will enhance the effectiveness and increase the probability of their acceptance of the aid. Regarding the side of the debate that the group disagrees with, what are the group's objections? And what is at least one thing on the side that the group finds acceptable? So, our first point is that the dependency argument is overstated. So, critics argue that charity fosters dependency by creating the expectation of external aid rather than encouraging self reliance. However, this largely ignores the role of well designed programs. For instance, we have initiatives that provide tools and training. We have microfinance programs in South Asia. Microfinance enables individuals to become financially independent and break the cycle of poverty. They provide the financial help so that they may start their small local businesses and break free from the cycle of poverty. And then we have their second point, the effectiveness of targeted charity. The claim that charity is largely ineffective, it dismisses the tangible life-saving outcomes of those initiatives because we have organizations like the Red Cross, UNICEF, and Medicine Sans Frontières that they have demonstrated the immense value of charity in addressing immediate needs during humanitarian crisis. Because we have recent, for example, we have recently gone through the COVID-19 pandemic. Charitable funding supported vaccine distribution, food aid, and healthcare resources in low-income regions. These initiatives, they have saved countless lives. Now, one point we actually accept is that some charitable organizations are actually inefficient or there are inefficiency concerns. So, some organizations actually lack oversight. So, it leads to wasted resources or really insufficient impact. So, for instance, there are charities that spend excessively on administrative costs or poorly planned projects, and these things they diminish the trust of donors and beneficiaries. So, this point underscores the importance of improving the operational efficiency through better management, transparent reporting, and actually impact measurement also for these charitable organizations. Because we have already seen that in high performing organizations like Oxfam and actually Care International, they demonstrate or they give a good example of how effective planning and accountability can significantly enhance.
In today's interconnected world, charity plays a crucial role in addressing urgent crises and fostering solidarity across communities. While it provides immediate relief and supports essential causes like education and healthcare, it is vital to approach charitable giving with sustainability and accountability in mind. Modern day challenges demand solutions that not only alleviate suffering, but also tackle systemic issues at the root, ensuring long term progress. But by prioritizing transparency, cultural relevance, and empowerment, charity can evolve into a more effective tool for building a just and equitable society, making it indispensable in our pursuit of collective well being.